Well, we don't want to keep going in the same circle. So what do you have
Right.
for me? What is the questions that you have for me? So I mean, by same circle, I mean the previous things that we talked about. So what do you have for me? Go ahead. What are
Yeah,
these questions that you want to ask?
so there was so it's Sahih Muslim 2167a, right? And I
Yeah,
guess
numbers are usually can be different from the edition, so you can read the narration if you'd like. That would be better. Yes.
yeah. It says do not greet the Jews and the Christians before they greet you, and when you meet any
Sure.
one of them on the roads, force him to go to the narrowest part of it.
Sure.
And I'm kind of just curious how that kind of correlates with the message of Islam, as
Sure.
it's a bit rude, violent. I don't know what the best word to be there is, especially considering that as a Christian, I would say that Jesus, taught to love thy enemy, right? And I was under this sort of assumption that Islam kind of had that shared idea that as long as there was no threat of persecution, there was a love to be shared there. Is there any context behind that sunnah there?
Okay, sure. So we will see now if the questions that you came up with, the other questions are like this. So what you've done, and I hope that's not the case, but this is what
Mm-hmm.
I can sense right now is that you ended the discussion and then you went to try and find things that may make Islam look in a way which is not the best and then present them. And if this was the case, I'll tell you something very interesting, that whatever you can come up with, we can easily respond to.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike, for example, other faiths and religions, which would not have an answer to the questions represented, in the case I would claim, like the video of Mormonism, which people can watch and they can come up to their own conclusion. On the other hand, we can respond to these questions because we're not afraid. But hopefully that was not your intent, because if it was,
Mm-hmm.
then I would tell you to revise your heart, because it's not
Yeah.
about vengeance and coming up with, I'll try to come up with things that makes this look this way or makes that. It's about truth and falsehood, right? But
Mm-hmm.
as I said, I don't mind responding to that point anyways. First, I would highlight what you said, which I don't believe is true. Christianity does not claims, yes, love your enemy, but the practices do not reflect that. The Crusades certainly
That's
did not,
not a
for
fair
example,
argument to make, though. That's not a fair argument to make. When you say that the religion claims one thing, but the practices are not the same. One thing that when I was hanging around with my Muslim friend, the imam would often allude to certain extremist groups, and I would say that you would say they don't practice Islam in the way that
I
is
completely
intentional.
agree. I
Cool.
completely agree.
So then I would
But the
not
issue
say it's
is,
a good argument for you to say that
no.
Christianity
The
does
issue,
not practice what it preaches, especially
look,
to draw context from things as early as the Crusades. I think that's very unfair of you to say.
Joshua, okay. I'll tell you something, and I'll say it very respectfully. This happened in the last discussion. You got agitated. I can tell that you right now, you have
Agitated
a
now?
little bit of that.
You think I'm
Yeah,
agitated
yeah. I'll
now?
tell you why. I'll tell you what are the signs of this. The signs is
Why
that you
would
didn't
you?
allow
No,
me.
no, no, no. Do you have
Here,
a degree in
example. I'm about to
psychology?
say.
Or why are you trying to
Here,
define how I am and
here,
why I am?
here is why I am, because you
You
are interrupting.
you
This is,
but
and
you're trying to
you are
tell me
continuously
you're
doing it
trying to
right
tell
now.
me
So
how
it's
I
just,
how I act and how I feel, and I think that's just not
yes.
okay. I came in
No,
here with
but
with an
that's
open heart, and you tried to
sure.
immediately paint that picture as elsewise, and I
So you're
think
gonna
that's
let me
not
speak,
okay.
or would you force me to do what I did last time? I hope that's not the case. Look, you jumped into assuming what I was about to say. That was the issue. That's why I said you were agitated,
I
because you
didn't
were in a
assume
defensive
anything.
mood.
I didn't
You were
assume anything. I didn't
you
assume
did
anything.
assume, because I
You were
only,
trying to
okay. So
tell
what
me
was
that
the sentence?
you're trying to tell me I'm up here maliciously, and I'm telling you that's not the
No,
case.
that's
And
not what I was saying.
I would appreciate if we actually were down to discuss doctrine and not how you think I'm acting versus how you want me to
No,
act
we cannot discuss
for
when
your
you
upload.
interrupt me when I speak. We cannot
Well,
discuss when you
yeah,
interrupt me.
but what you were speaking about
So
is
if
not
you're
about
able
doctrine.
to,
It's about who I am as a
well, that is
person,
it's
and
not
that's not
relevant to you.
a.
Okay, it's not relevant
It
to you what I
is
speak
very
about.
relevant.
I can.
It
I'm
is very
allowed to speak
relevant when
about
it
what I.
pertains.
Okay, you're just proving my point. Like, you kept telling people I'm not agitated, but you like literally say a word. So you make yourself look bad, Joshua, and I feel sorry for you. And I would hope that you just, like, relax a little bit, chill. Like I told you last time, you did the same thing. Have a little bit of vengeance. You maybe feel bad about how you looked last time and how your religion, you couldn't respond to the answers. So you're feeling bad and upset. But I don't. This is your love of your enemy that you were preaching 2 minutes ago. Love your enemy and whatever. And now he left the background. So, like, I don't know what to do sometimes, man. We try our best to be patient, but I can't. The reason I didn't bring him on from the beginning. He was in the backstage for a while. It's because I kind of knew that this is going to happen sooner or later. So I just like, come on, we don't want to go through that again. Now, he mentioned the hadith, which I'm going to respond to because people were on the stream anyways, just for the sake of benefit for the people. Now, the hadith he mentioned about take the Jews and do not give the Jews and the Christians greetings of peace first. Do not say salam alaikum first. And if you see them, then push them to the narrow road or whatever. This hadith, as Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani and many other scholars mentioned, was in a context of war, specifically a battle against Bani Qurayza. Bani Qurayza were the Jewish people that betrayed the Muslims, broke their treaty with the Muslims. So we have a group of people called Bani Qurayza. They broke their treaty. They betrayed the Muslims. And then the Prophet ﷺ gave them these commands specifically within that context of this war. And that's why you'll see many of the classical scholars of hadith and narrations, they had a chapter heading. So they said the chapter heading of the Battle of Bani Qurayza. And then they will have this narration in that chapter heading, in this chapter, so that people can understand that this is specifically something within a very historical context. The Quran explicitly mentions, like in chapter 60, verse 8, that Allah tells us to treat justly and kindly with the non-Muslims, and to be fair with them if they don't fight us, and try to kick us out of our homes. So that is our position as Muslims. And yeah, like we don't have any issues answering the questions. The questions are very easily responded to with references and evidences, as I've just done. But when someone is coming, he's a little bit, upset about how a previous discussion went, then I cannot really do much here or there. All right, brothers and sisters, I think I'm going to end. I don't know why the internet is so